What's up, cooks? Welcome to the Recipe Vault. Today we're doing sort of a recipe 911. I pulled out of the Recipe Vault a recipe for cream of chicken noodle soup. And I noticed that part of this recipe is missing. So we're going to rescue this recipe. It's snowing outside. And it's time for a nice, comforting bowl of soup. So welcome to the Amy Learns to Cook kitchen. Okay, so this recipe is kind of interesting because it's totally incomplete. And I understand when you're an experienced cook and you make something a lot, you might know how to do it. You're just jotting down the ingredients, right? Because it gives this whole list of ingredients like onion, celery, potatoes, flour, right? And then it just says add the onions and the chicken and the broth and the salt and cook for 25 minutes. It's like everything else is left out. I mean, what do you do with the flour, right? They don't even say. So you might find grandma's recipe written this way, like it's completely lacking in all the instructions, right? Plus you might want to add some ingredients of your own. So we're going to rescue this recipe and try to make it into something good, right?
Maybe that's why it's so dry. She forgot to add the broth. It's not on there.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start us off with some olive oil. And she says put butter. And I don't know if that's once we start making a little roux. I think I'm going to start it out cooking without the butter, and I'm going to add it just before we put the flour. So I got some onion here. Woo! That onion ain't playing around. But we're going to start sauteing. She said 2 onions. She or he said 2 onions. So I'm going to start sauteing this, and we're going to cook it up until it starts to get translucent. Okay, so I'm going to pop some carrot in here. Eric had an interesting point because the recipe has a weird amounts for the broth. It says 4 cups of water, 2 teaspoons of granulated bouillon, and then a can of chicken broth. So, I don't know, we'll be working through that because I don't want like a really liquidy broth because this is a cream of chicken soup. So you think I can get it to the consistency I want it? I gotta try. We're gonna be, this is a test.
Cream of chicken soup is usually a little concentrated. It has a little bits of mushroom in them and stuff.
Well, it's gonna be like a potato soup, right? Well, that kind of consistency and not a broth based soup.
No, that's true. But if you got a little broth in there, that's gonna be tasty.
So I forgot to mention, this is a 7-quart Dutch oven. I didn't want to do Tramontina. I didn't want to get one that was too small because after I put the chicken in the noodles, I didn't want to not have enough room. And amazingly, I don't have like too many 7-quart Dutch ovens.
Boo-boo.
I'm just going to have to remedy, right?
You went to a factory table sale. You didn't say, gee, I need a 7 or 8 quart.
I didn't do things strategically well during then. So I do have one issue. She calls for 1 potato. I cut 2 because they're kind of small to medium. So if I put them in and then put the liquid in, it's possible that the potatoes are going to completely break down like in a potato soup by the time that is done. If I wait a little bit, they'll be more like pieces of potato. So it really depends on what you want. If you want defined pieces of potato, put them in a little later. If you want them to break down into the soup, put them in earlier. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and put some butter in here because I want to make a little roux in here. Okay, so that butter is melted. I have some flour here. We're gonna go dump that flour in here. And we're gonna roux it up, right? We're obviously not making gumbo. So, but I do want to cook it a little bit. Blonde roux.
Well, you don't want it tasting like flour.
No. And we're gonna go ahead and put some chicken stock in here. Well, I didn't get my chicken stock out of the freezer in time, so we got chicken broth. Chicken broth. That was like 6 cups. We're gonna go ahead and scrape that roux from the bottom. When you feel it's nice and smooth in there, you got it all up.
You're gonna rescue your little wayward onions on the side.
No, I can't see them.
You gotta get them to join the party.
I have some potatoes here. I cubed them. I put them in some water so they wouldn't brown or anything. I'm gonna let this cook a little bit before we cook the chicken in. I gotta get another stove because we gotta fire it up to cook the noodles, so we'll be back. Okay, so we're cooking away here a little bit. I need some seasoning in my soup. Sorry. I'm gonna put some granulated garlic in here. And I'm gonna put whatever seasoning you want. Basil, she or he suggested basil. Let me stir that up a little. I'm gonna put some Sunny Paris, put whatever you like. I'm gonna put a little pepper. I'm not putting fresh grind because my grinder tends to grind it big, so then it turns into spicy soup. Looking good. So I got some water boiling here, but I also got some chicken here. So my thought about chicken noodle soup is you need to put the chicken in already cooked. Don't put it in when it's raw, because when it's raw, the smolts from the chicken will just monk up your broth. So then you have to cook it and replace the broth. So I roasted this as a whole chicken, and oof, now we're talking. I'll put a link up here and down there how I roast my chickens, but that's what I did. You can use chicken part, cook it in the oven, cook it in the air fryer, however you want to cook it. Buy your rotisserie chicken. That's looking mighty fine. So when this comes up, we'll be cooking the noodles. Okay, so we definitely have a rolling boil here. Seriously rolling boil. We're gonna salt it like the sea, salt it like the sea, salt, 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 salt it like a sea. Boom, boom. The recipe says 2 cups of egg noodles. I'm doing this whole box because whatever's left, I'm going to use it in something else. So this is just doing double duty. So we are cooking off our noodles here. So we have some soup here. It's looking good. I just have it in a barely similar. I put a little Mrs. Dash in here, and I tested it for salt. So put whatever flavors you have. Our potatoes are tender. Okay, I'm going to put a little cream in here. You can use heavy cream. You can use whole milk. You can use milk. You can use whatever you want. I'm using this plant cream. It's supposedly heavy whipping cream, but and put as much as you want. Now, cream is going to tamp down some of your flavors. Like if you put cream in something that has like a wine in it, you can get rid of that wine. Like you won't even taste it. You get rid of acidity with this. We don't have an acid in here. You could put a little lime juice if that's what you wanted to. But this will mellow out any.
But it is a fat, so it should have some flavor.
Yeah. Ooh. Almost look like chicken corn chowder now.
Well.
So I'm gonna let this heat through and cook. And as soon as those noodles are done, I think we're gonna be tasting some soup.
Okay.
Okay, so our noodles are done. I'm gonna go ahead and drain them here. And we're gonna
You love that thing, Boo Boo?
figure out how much we're gonna put in here, actually put in here.
We're going to do the displacement model. Since we don't really know how much we want.
She said 2 cups, but I don't think that's enough.
How big was
I like my
How big was that bag? Was that a 4-cup bag?
12-ounce bag.
That's a 12-ounce bag?
Yeah.
No.
Well,
Well, that was 3 cups. Yeah.
maybe 2 cups is the party. Look at that. Adjust your seasoning. I think it's time to boil it up.
Yeah.
It's cold outside. Are you ready to warm up?
I am.
So we have cream of chicken noodle soup. Cream of chicken noodle soup. Not cream of chicken soup and not chicken noodle soup. We have cream of chicken noodle soup, right?
All right.
Which means we have the best of both. Cream of chicken and chicken noodle. I'm asking for it here, right? Whoa, so it's a little creamier than with that milk in it and the butter.
Uh-huh.
And a little soupy and a little creamy and a little chickeny. Does that look good, Boo?
Sure.
You want a little oyster cracker?
Sure.
My bag's getting ready to explode here. Put a little parsley on there to give you a little green color. If you're fancy like that. I don't need to do that right now because our parsley ended its season. And
It usually tolerates its first snow. After that, it's...
we tried to keep on with it a little bit and it sort of crashed and burned and it was a little oyster for me. Come on over, guys. It's cold outside. Come join us for a nice bowl of soup.
I'll give you a spoiler alert.
It's delicious.
Chicken is juicy.
Mm-hmm.
The broth is fabulous.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Hot, hot, hot.
It's hot.
It's really good. It gives you a little bit more of creaminess from ordinary chicken noodle, but it's not like condensed soup, right?
Oh, no.
Really good. So Recipe Vault 911, we rescued you, right? Cream of chicken noodle soup. Thanks for joining me. I'm off to eat my soup and warm up.